This is our April 8th legislative session of Swarthmore Borough Council. We're going to do a roll call. As I said, Mr. Schmucky is not here this evening. He's excused. Mr. Carey?
Here.
Ms. McKinney?
Here.
Ms. Graydon?
Here.
Ms. Gajewski?
Here.
Ms. Larson?
Here.
Hello. Mayor Spiegel?
I'm here.
Borough Manager Billings?
Here.
And our Borough Solicitor, Mr. Scott.
Here. Evening.
Oh, good evening. All right. So, public comment. We only have one public comment session this evening, and this is it. And there is no one on the call to make public comment. So I'm going to give it like a 20-second going, gone. Unless, Rick, did you want to speak during public comment at all? No, he does not. All right, well then, I'm going to close out the public comment. And I did want to say we are going to have an executive session tonight to discuss, let's see, a personnel matter, the FOP negotiations, and also there has been a complaint to the Housing and Urban Development Department about the borough's Fair Housing Act procedures. So we're going to talk about that. All right, meeting minutes. May I have a motion to approve the March 8th, 2021 council meeting minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion, questions, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the March 8th, 2021 council meeting minutes, say aye.
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 Motion passes. May I have a motion to approve the April 5th, 2021 council meeting minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Jill. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Lauren. Any discussion, corrections, questions? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the April 5th meeting minutes, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, they are approved. I'm going to double back a little bit because Annie Fox has joined us just to make sure. We did have public comment. We didn't have any public. I just want to make sure you weren't trying to make public comment.
I am just here to answer questions, if any come up, regarding a clarification on the Energy Transition Task Force.
Okay. All right. Well, when we get to that, we'll call on you if need be. Thank you for coming on to do that. All right. All the meeting minutes are approved. Now we're on to reopening the Borough Hall and Amphitheater, which we talked about last week. I think everybody understands what it is we're being asked to do, just what it says, Borough Hall and the amphitheater. I think we talked about the meeting rooms being closed, remaining closed for now, but the front door being unlocked. I need a motion because we need to vote on, I believe we decided we needed to vote on reopening Borough Hall and the amphitheater. So why don't we get the motion, and then if we want to discuss it some more, we can do it after that. May I have a motion?
I'll move to open the amphitheater and Borough Hall.
Thank you, Jill. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Michael. Any discussion or questions on this? And does everybody understand, like, what exactly that means to open Borough Hall and the amphitheater? Jane, do you want to talk to that a little bit?
No, I just, Amber, the librarian, came over today. I think there was some question about the bathrooms. And apparently there is a law, I believe it's part of the public library code, that if a public library is open, there must be an accessible bathroom. So that sort of answers the question about whether the bathrooms will be open or not.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, or Lauren?
Well, I noticed that the library is open now, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, they changed their policy, right? Because I know that I called to pick up a book, and they said you can just come in.
Right.
So that's true. Like they're just open.
Except for Tuesday. Tuesday, you still have to make an appointment.
Okay.
But their door will be locked, but we'll be open.
Okay, thanks.
They're doing that brisk browse thing.
Oh, okay, got it.
Are we gonna, do we have any capacity limits on the building, or should we establish one?
I was
We have
wondering.
capacity limits in the meeting rooms, but we're not opening those. So, yes.
Seems unlikely that there would be like lots of people in the halls for no particular reason.
Right. I guess I'm just wondering, would it make sense, like most things are allowed to have, I don't know, 25 or 50% capacity right now. Would it make sense to set a number ahead of time just so we can head it off in case we do end up with dozens of people in the building?
I think I'd rather just say that the lobby is really not open for sitting, no matter what the numbers are right now.
Okay.
Did we take the table out?
Yes, there are 2 chairs there, and somebody was sitting in one of the chairs today, so I think we will move those somewhere else.
Yeah.
What about with the office itself? Do we want to say like one person or one group at a time, or?
In our office?
Yeah.
No, we don't really let anybody in. We pretty much just go to the window and deal with people one-on-one.
Right, but I mean, even in that little window area, like.
Well, I think we could put up one of those 6-foot distancing signs so people don't double up on each other. We could do that.
Right, in which case you could really only have one body.
Right. Yep, we could do that.
And then will you be posting this on the borough website so people know what the rules are? Or will you be telling them if they call?
Yeah, since the front doors were open this last week, people certainly have come up to the window, and I did take off the website the requirement for contractors to call ahead, because they don't really have to do that now. So I'll see if there's anything else on the website that we could clarify.
Okay.
Maybe something on Facebook too would be good.
Okay. All right, does everybody understand what the parameters are? And then, I'm sorry, I guess I have a question. The amphitheater, so that's just open, do you still need, if you're gonna have an event there, a permit, or can anybody just go sit there? Remind me how that works.
So we haven't really been doing permits at the amphitheater. The town center people were sort of making sure that there weren't double bookings for big events. And right now, they're not planning any big events. And anything like that would have to go through the general government committee, and we haven't had any requests yet. So I think it's mostly going to be the library can have some outside stuff going on there. The farmer's market is not planning to start music or any events like that there. So I think it's more of just people's comfort level and knowing they're not doing something wrong or illegal by being in the amphitheater.
Okay. All right, so are people ready to vote? All right, then all in favor of reopening Borough Hall and the amphitheater along the lines just discussed, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, thank you. That's great. That feels good. We're easing our way back in. All right, next. Request to Swarthmore College to reopen College Woods. We talked about this last week as well. And Betsy, this is really yours if you would like to make a motion. Maybe you want to read your letter draft that you wrote again so people know what it is you're asking.
Well, actually, I've gotten the pretty clear impression that, Jill, I think.
Bill, you might have to just hop off and dial back in.
Can you at least hear me?
Yeah, we can
Yes.
What a strange picture. Okay.
You want to shut your screen off?
Yeah, okay.
It's an option.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. She can hear us. Go ahead.
So I think it's become pretty clear to me that there isn't any support for this in council. instead of making a motion, I've decided that I'd just like to make 2 points. One is just kind of that I don't like the process of this. I really don't see any reason why we shouldn't be able to have a formal and official sort of way of communicating with the college about issues that might come up. And I know there was no ill intention. I mean, you know, literally there was a conversation between 2 gentlemen in the basement of Borough Hall about this. And, you know, I don't think that's the way we should be conducting business with the college. So that's my one statement. And the other one is just to point out to everyone that the privately owned Swarthmore newspaper is not an official means of communicating with council. So whether it's a response from Swarthmore College or someone writing about something that we're considering, you know, they need to contact us directly if they want it to be considered by us, because we don't all read the paper, and that's not any form of official borough communication for the government. So those are just the 2 points that I want to make, and I won't belabor it any longer.
Okay. Marty, did you want to comment on that at all, or no? You don't have to.
No, I will. You know, just real briefly. I mean, you know, as I indicated, I had, after our last meeting, had discussed this at a meeting with the college, with Greg Brown, with Vice President of Operations, and he made pretty clear that right now they did not feel comfortable opening the campus. First of all, their students have not been vaccinated, and you know, it really is up to them. I will bring this up again at our next management meeting, which I believe is this Thursday. Am I right? Right. So we will continue to talk to the college about this. And so, you know, I do feel that Greg relaying information through me or through any other member of council is pretty much an official line of communication. You know, it's not being done strictly through the newspaper. I think they may have mentioned in the newspaper simply so the public understood what the situation was. But I think the college has been pretty open about communicating, and they know that the lines of communication are open either through myself or through council or through change. So I'm more than comfortable keeping on top of this and letting council know via email what I hear after the meeting, you know, in terms of if there's any change in their position. But right now, I know that they're considering it a closed campus. So we'll find out after Thursday if there's any change in their decision.
So if I can just respond to that, I do feel like communicating that way in a small, closed meeting, at the very least, I think it violates the spirit of the Sunshine Law. And it's not an ideal way for us to be conducting business as a government organization.
Well, I tend to disagree, but that's fine. That's you know, I don't think Bob can weigh in on whether or not Sunshine Law violations. But my communicating with a member of the college administration, I don't believe needs to be done in an open and public forum. I feel that my responsibility both is to relay information certainly to council as need be, and to the public as it might be necessary. But I don't believe that there's any violation of sunshine provisions in my discussions with anybody on campus administration.
And Bob can weigh in, but the members of the Public Safety Committee were cautioned several years ago to not conduct any official borough business at the police department's management meeting.
Right, but I'm not part of council. I don't deliberate as part of council. I stay out of most of these conversations unless I feel I have something to offer. So I don't feel that there's any violation whatsoever.
Betsy, you're right in what you're saying, but that was because the concern was it would be a quorum of council showing up at that police management meeting. That was why. Marty's right. He's not part of that.
May I be heard on this?
Of course.
I
don't understand why this is an issue. I think people just don't support it. And so we could, I'm happy to make a motion, but I don't think it'll pass. I personally don't want to second guess the college. That's my only, that's my feeling on this. So it isn't, I'm not looking at Marty resolved it and therefore it's a done deal. I look at it like the college has made a decision that's best for its people, its employees, its students, and I wouldn't vote for it. So yeah, I think that's out in the open. I think there was a discussion last time about just that. So if you feel, I wouldn't mind one bit if we, it came up for a vote and it didn't pass. But
Well, and Betsy, that's why I said to you, if you want to make a motion, and I get if you think that it doesn't have the support of everybody that would carry the day, but at the same time, Jill's right. It isn't either or. It's not like Marty got it done and made what you're doing moot. It's not that. It's doing it in here in the public meeting would be the way to go about it, making a motion and us voting on it. So do you want to do that?
I don't think there's support for it, so I don't know, I don't see any reason going through the motions of a motion, so.
Understood, but it also doesn't preclude Marty from talking to anybody at the college about it. Just like it doesn't preclude you from picking up the phone and calling somebody at the college about it if you wanted to do that.
Yeah, and I have considered sending my own letter, so yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I just know that there isn't support for taking any further action at this time from council, so that's, yeah.
Okay. All right, well, then it sounds like we are moving on from this. Thank you. And we're going to go to the Environment Committee. Lauren?
Hi, good evening. We are going to be meeting on Wednesday, April 28th. And just to track back to the Energy Transition Task Force for a second. Just to clarify, they're not actually seeking to get an appropriation to support their organization. I know we were talking about that last week. They were just clarifying kind of the legal status of their organization as an unincorporated nonprofit association, just so that everyone would know what it is. But funds would remain, any funds that they need for PR or for auditing or whatever would be, what they're requesting is a budget line, very small budget line every year within the borough budget. So we don't need to really look into the legal status of their organization for those purposes. Are there any, and the other questions that Ross had, I think we're going to table those until Ross is actually at a meeting, since this isn't anything that we need to vote on, and it doesn't really come up until the fall when we're creating the budget. And Annie Fox has the floor right now, I guess.
Yeah, I just wanted to say the line item on the budget that would be for the energy transition itself, not for the Energy Transition Task Force. For this very serious commitment to be met, there needs to be a room for it in the budget moving forward from 2022 on until either 2050 or until the transition is complete, if that happens before then. So the line item is for the energy transition. That's all I wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie. Does anyone have any questions about that? Okay, great. Thank you very much, and we'll get to the other points probably in May. Thank you so much, Andy, for coming to the meeting. And that's all that I have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both. Finance, Michael.
Yes, thank you. We'll do the financial report through the month of March. As everyone is most likely aware, that this is the month where real estate taxes are generally paid. So there's a big change, and generally our largest cash balance is at the end of March, which is no exception this year. I think in terms of revenues and expenditures, again, it's early in the year, so it's hard to judge, but and I think some of the things last year were off in terms of timing, so I think basically we're right on line with what we're expecting so far. And in terms of a cash balance at the end of March, it was $3,349,418. Does anyone have any questions as it relates to the financial report through the month of March? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to move on to wire transactions. I'm going to make a motion to approve wire transactions, which are all loan payments, totaling $77,804.87.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Lauren. Any discussion or questions for Michael? Hearing none, all in favor of the wire transfer? It was the wire transfers to ratify, was it not, Michael?
Correct, yes, just wire transfer.
The wire transfers to ratify, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Okay, and finally, hopefully everyone's had a chance to review their invoices for the month, or through April 8th of 2021. So I would like to make a motion to approve those bills, again, through April 8th, totaling $1,183,887.02.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jill. Any discussion? Questions? I'd like to make a comment. I signed the checks. Jane signs them along with me. All the big checks were signed. The $300,000 for the fire company, the contributions for SRA and the library and the Senior Citizens Association, and I'm sure I missed something, but all the different organizations that come at budget time and ask us for help, those checks were signed. So, yes, Sarah.
Sorry, I'm used to being in a school. I forgot I don't raise my hand. I just wanted to make a comment that I did actually initial all of those this month, and I wasn't sure whether it should be me initialing, not the checks. You sign the checks, but I initially should say that we've seen them. That's part of our process. And I was just wondering if some of those should have gone to other committees, because I don't like SRA and the fire and all that still went in my pile. So I'm just making a note. I remember passing it on budget time. I had no problem with it, but I just wanted to.
I would agree. Jill probably should have gotten the fire company one, and Ross the SRA one. I'm surprised he didn't ask me actually, because he has usually gotten that. So you're cool. But the amount are in the budget, so hopefully you can see that. I have a couple of comments if you have time, Mary.
Sure.
Okay. Ron, I just wanted to point out for the record, going back to those wire transactions, that $77,000 to Wells Fargo, that did include the prepayment of next year's debt on one of our notes, the 2002 note that was, I don't even remember what it was for, I'll be honest. So that debt has now been retired, which will be helpful in next year's budget. And Ross asked me about a bill, an unusual invoice for $9,187.75 from the general fund to the liquid fuels fund. We are audited every year by PennDOT on how we spend our liquid fuels money, and this was an amount that the PennDOT auditor thought should have come out of the general fund rather than the liquid fuel fund. So clean audit would be nice. The good thing about liquid fuels is you don't have to pay PennDOT back, you're basically paying yourself back. So we're transferring from the general fund to the liquid fuels fund, and we certainly have plenty of other ways within liquid fuels to pay that back. So a little audit glitch happens sometimes. So I don't know if there are any other questions, but on behalf of Ross, I did want to clarify that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, I'm not hearing any further questions or discussion. Then we need to vote on the bills to pay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
And the only thing I have left is the Finance Committee will be meeting Monday, the 26th, 7:30 p.m. via Zoom.
Great. Thanks so much, Michael.
Thank you.
General Government, Sarah.
I don't have anything to report, but we are meeting next Monday at 7:30.
Great. And you're going to talk a little bit about the leaf blower issue that somebody raised, right, at your meeting?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to listen to, I invited him to the meeting and he'll present, what he should consider. Yeah.
Right. Got it. All right. That, in case there are any other people out there interested in leaf blower issues. All right. Thank you. Planning and zoning, Betsy.
Yes, I have 2 nominations to propose tonight. I haven't done this in a while. Do I need to move? I need to make motions, right?
You need to make a motion on each one. Yes, please.
So the first, they're both alternates. The first is that Doug Harnsberger has volunteered to be an alternate on the Planning Commission. And so I would like to move that we appoint Doug Harnsberger as an alternate on the Planning Commission.
Is there a second?
Second.
Lauren, thank you. Any discussion, questions? For Betsy, I know Doug is an historical architect. Is that correct, Betsy?
I believe so. I we're excited to have him on the planning.
Yes, he is. He's great. I think he'd be great.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't hear any questions or any other comments. All in favor of appointing Doug Harnsberger as an alternate to the Planning Commission, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Please tell Doug thank you.
I will. And then Neil Young has volunteered to be an alternate on the zoning hearing board. He heard my desperate plea last week and responded. So I thought I'd just, even though it's just come up, I thought I'd just go ahead and move on that. So I'd like to move that we appoint Neil Young to the zoning hearing board as an alternate.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Was that Jill? Yes. Thank you, Jill. Okay. Any questions or discussions? And I know we've talked to Neil. He's called into council meetings. I don't remember his background right off the top of my head, but he's participated in a few of our meetings, and I think he wants to get more involved in the borough.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. All in favor of appointing Neil Young as an alternate to the zoning hearing board, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Please tell Neil thank you.
I will. And we will not be meeting, the Planning and Zoning Committee will not be meeting this month, although I believe the Planning Commission and the Zoning Hearing Board will be meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Betsy. Public safety, Jill.
Yes, good evening. I do not have a specific report, but I would like to make a motion for consideration of Resolution 2021-05, which is the lease purchase of a 2021 Ford Explorer for the police department.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, so hopefully everybody had a chance to look at this. It's this master lease with Santander Bank. Ray, did you want to tell us about this? Or Jill, I'm sorry. Either one.
I actually don't have all the details, so I'm going to ask if Ray has anything he wants to share, to please do so.
Okay.
This is just a resolution that kind of mirrors what we did in 2019. Obviously, the VIN number, the make of vehicle, and the amount change. So the resolution, as I sent over to Bob, is kind of standard. We ended up buying, at least purchasing this car from a different dealer, which was much more user-friendly. The car's actually in service. The dealer is not all that concerned about, the financial paperwork. They were able to be very, very generous with us as far as getting that car on the road and delivered, and not worried about, the payment, because that's what they do for a living. Selling a lot of government vehicles. So I would invite anyone on council. This is that purchase of our first hybrid Ford Explorer. So anyone on council who wishes to take a look at it or have any curiosities. I've never driven a hybrid until this one came in. Is a little different, a little bit of a learning curve getting used to it. But so far, all of the officers that have driven it are very much impressed with it, and we're hoping that not only does this vehicle, follow the Borough Council's vision for the environmental committee, but we can actually see the savings for in fuel costs. So that's about all I have.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Betsy wants to drive the police car, right?
I do. Yes, we all know I'm excited about the fact that we have a hybrid, and I'd love to take a look at it. I might take you up on that invitation, Ray, if I can drag my butt back up into town. Is there a reason that we're leasing? Do we always lease? I thought we purchased.
No, since I don't know what year it started, but almost since I've been here, we've leased purchase, because it allows us to do. It allows us to basically have several car payments over the course of a year, as opposed to only having one massive payment for one car. We stagger our payments for different cars. So I don't know what year. I'd have to, maybe Jane can remember. We probably started doing that in the mid-90s, lease purchasing. It's somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that time frame, but
Yeah.
it allows us to spread out the payments without any significant cost.
Okay, so it's not like a regular car lease that you would sign. It's more of a different way to purchase.
Yeah, it's become very common with police departments, mainly because of the cost involved. So this is a 3-year lease purchase that at the end of the 3 years we own it. There isn't a buyout at the end of 3 years, because our lease payments are, they're one big payment made every single year for 3 years, so that at the end that we actually own it.
Great.
Did you want to say something, Bob?
So it's, just to what Renee's saying, it really is a financing, and it's structured as a lease to avoid having to do debt act filings with the state. Anytime you borrow money, you need to do a filing with the state. But this is structured in a way that gets around that. So it's the equivalent of a financing. It's not like a consumer lease of a vehicle.
Okay. All right. Do people have enough information to put it to a vote? All right, then all in favor of Resolution 2021-05, the lease purchase of the 2021 Ford Explorer for the police department, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Okay.
Thank
Jill?
you. Yes, so I would like to make a motion for consideration of Resolution 2021-06, which amends the borough's use and occupancy standards for multifamily, commercial, and institutional buildings. I do have one question for Jane. There was a definition that we were also going to be adding. I think it was just an oversight that institution wasn't defined, and we talked about just sort of closing that loop there. So can that be made part of this?
No, that's an ordinance change. That's part of the definition would have to be part of the ordinance. This is just a resolution.
I see.
Right.
So in order to bring that up to where it should be, we'd have to actually do a formal advertising and all of that.
Correct.
Yeah, that's correct.
Isn't there something about I don't know, I can't remember the language what it actually is, but if it's more of like sort of the pro forma, just almost like a typo, isn't there a way to, I mean, I don't really care. It's not controversial at all, but is there a way to go about something like this that doesn't need to be made such a big deal of just to get it to conform?
I think if you're, do I understand correctly, you're talking about changing a definition or adding a definition?
No, it's a definition that, so there are 3 things and only 2 of them were defined for some reason. It doesn't make any sense. It was just left off,
Yeah.
I believe.
Well, the rules of statutory interpretation would just dictate that you use the dictionary definition for that term then, so.
So theoretically, we could do that if we felt like
To
it.
change what's on the books, to change the text of what's in the book, absent, a misspelling, something like that, I think you could do without having to go through an ordinance change. But if you're adding or changing text, it needs to go through an amendment.
Okay.
And I don't think there's any doubt on the meaning of the institutional, and so I kind of agree with Bob that if an institutional property was ever changing hands, they would be covered by that ordinance. And we, in fact, have used, we have had a sale of a couple of properties. Remember, Cade's purchased some of the school district property, and they were governed by those rules. So we can do it, but it can't be done as part of this resolution.
Okay, I understand. It's more of a housekeeping matter, and who knows who has questions about what intent was meant by leaving it off in the future. So I guess we just put that in to be advertised and then amended at some point. Anyway, back to the motion I made. Shall I remake it?
Was there a motion?
I don't think you made one on this one, Jill. Did you?
I did, but I'll say it again. I am making a motion for consideration of Resolution 2021-06, amending the borough's use and occupancy standards for multifamily, commercial, and institutional buildings.
Okay, and is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, any discussion or questions about this one? This is the one relating to making sure that fire alarms are hardwired to a monitoring system of some sort. Okay, no one seems to have any questions or comments, so we're going to vote. All in favor of Resolution 2021-06, amending borough's use and occupancy standards for multifamily, commercial, and institutional buildings, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Rick. Yes, thank you, Rick Lee.
It's a big deal.
Yes.
That is all I have. We will be meeting this month. I think it's on the 20th. I can double check that real quick just to make sure I got that right.
That's
yes,
correct.
20th at 7:30 by Zoom.
Okay, thank you, Jill. Ross is not here this evening, so what other member of Public Works is going to do us the honors of talking about approving the bids for the 2021 street paving program?
I'm
Just the last meeting. I'm sorry. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm unprepared for this. Sorry.
Okay. No problem. Jane, can you just jump in? What do we need to do?
Sure. So you advertised for bids for the 2021 street paving program. There were a lot of bidders on that, which was great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bidders.
Yeah.
And the low bidder was Alan Myers. You've probably seen their trucks, actually. They do work all over, including on big roads like 476, and apparently on little roads like Swarthmore. So they were the low bidder on the project. For the Swarthmore portion of the work, their bid comes to $105,795.45, and the budget is $107,000. So that was worked out pretty well.
Okay. And just so everybody knows, there was a letter in our packet, the one from Panoni, just tells us what all the bids were. So, okay, we need a motion on this to accept this bid?
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Lauren. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Michael. Any discussion or questions for Jane? All right, hearing none, all in favor of awarding the Swarthmore portion of this project to Alan Myers LP in the amount of $105,795.45, contingent upon their execution of the contract and supply of required bonds and insurance. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries. Thank you, Jane.
Sure, thank you.
Public Works, do you know if you're having a meeting later this month? I would assume you are. Yep, in the morning. It's the last Thursday of the month at 8:30 a.m. Is that right?
It's the 4th Thursday of the month. That's the 22nd.
Yes. 22nd, yeah.
Thank you. All right, very good. All right, other business. I have a question. I was thinking about this over the weekend based on something that came up for discussion. I know we have all of these organizations that come before us to ask for funds, and maybe some of them were mandated to provide such things like a recreation board or something. I'm not sure. I guess my question is, and everybody's gonna roll their eyes because no one's asking for money, why am I trying to give it away? But we don't give the Horticultural Society any money for all of the work they do, which I assume they're doing pro bono because, or the Centennial Foundation maybe offset some of their costs. I don't know that. But I was just wondering that. Like, that is something they put a lot of work into. Some of it's outside of Borough Hall. Not all of it is. I guess some of it's outside of private businesses. But I guess I'm sort of asking Jane, not to put you on the spot. We don't give them any money. Why is that?
I think there's two answers. One is they actually have never asked, but we do give them money because they are in charge of changing the planters in the town center.
Okay.
And town center gives, I think, $500 a year, maybe even be twice a year, I can't remember. And the borough also has appropriated that money since that's, I don't know, it's been a while that they've been doing that. So they did ask for that, and that was approved a while ago, and it just has been rolled over into every budget. So we do help with that part of what they do, which is directly related to the town center.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see.
This is probably, I'm actually hoping to go to the general government meeting this week. This is probably a general government issue, but when that came up last week, that town center is going to be sponsoring the Saturday stroll and sip, whatever event that is. It just occurred to me that raised some issues for me about social distancing and enforcing that, and it got me thinking that maybe we should temporarily alter our permits for the events to ask some questions about what social distancing measures will be in place and how they will be monitored or enforced. So again, that might just be something to talk about in general government, but I'm aware we don't actually have our own mask mandate in the borough, correct? So it just all seemed tied into me that we might want to take some, if we're going to be allowing events in the borough, that we just might want to take some extra steps to ensure that they are held safely.
One of the things that is before general government, I think I've sent it to Sarah already, is a request from Headstrong to hold their annual race in September. We got some input from the health officer on that. I'm finding that people are sort of telling us how they're going to handle that part. but I think that seems like a reasonable request. I could add something to the form if people want, or I could just, when they send it in, ask them to include that in a cover letter or something like that, if you'd like. I think they're all thinking about it anyway, so I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, I think it's a great idea. I just don't think we're asking them to do something that will be onerous.
Right, it's just, again, formalizing something that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Unless there are any objections, I'm happy to do that.
No, that makes sense.
Thank you.
Yeah, so would you be able to do that, Jane, and we can talk about it just briefly, or maybe not briefly, at the next committee meeting?
Sure, and I think that particular group is planning to attend the meeting, so we can even ask.
I'm sorry, which particular, the Headstrong group?
The Headstrong group is planning to attend your meeting, so we can certainly ask them.
Thank
And
you.
we have a couple of others that have talked about it, so I will let them know, the Community Arts Center and Truckathon. I can't remember if there's another one, but people are starting to contact me. Memorial Day, as you heard last time, and 4th of July, so a lot to think about.
Thank you, Betsy and Sarah, Jane. Is there any other business? All right, we're moving over to the mayor.
Thank you, Mary. A real quick note this month regarding. I just wanted to extend thanks to Swarthmore Town Center, since we're talking about them, for organizing the cleanup of our downtown this Sunday. And despite the lousy weather, I didn't count, but there were probably 12 to 15 people that showed up with tools in hand to weed and to power wash sidewalks and just do a general cleanup of our town center. And it really made a huge difference. I think it's worth walking through and just seeing what what they were able to do. So again, thank you to Sarah and the town center group for organizing that, and for everybody that showed up, and Public Works for coming by and taking away all of the refuse that was left for them after the event. So again, I think it was a worthwhile day, and the town looks better for it. So thanks. That's it.
Thank you, Marty. Jane?
Thank you. There's a slight error on the recycling report, as somebody may have noticed if anyone looked at it. All the recycling is down year to date, and then the recycling total was up, so it should be down about 15% overall. At the beginning of the year, it's a little hard to tell how much might be timing related, but maybe everybody cleaned up absolutely everything they needed to during last year of COVID, and trash is down as well. I would just note, we are seeing a lot of applications to the zoning hearing board for various things related to fences. Some of them are variance requests, some of them are special exceptions. Again, just pointing it out, I don't know if planning and zoning might be interested in looking at the existing regulations and see if they recommend any changes. We have another one coming up this month and another one coming up the month after that. So again, if that's a discussion item that someone would like to look at in planning and zoning, some of them are related to these front yard fences, some of them are related to where the fence turns in to enclose a yard, but any special exception right now does have to go to the zoning hearing board, and so we do have a sort of a steady mill of people going right now. Just again, wanted to point that out. The last thing I did want to point out was, you'll see in a meeting attended, the Pennsylvania Municipal League update on the American Rescue Plan. We've had, at the beginning, right after the announcement was made of the rescue plan, all of the associations sort of held a bunch of meetings to discuss what happened. And I think everybody's now just taking a step back and waiting until we get some official word from somebody official, which is, we guess, going to be the Department of Community and Economic Development, but we actually, and it would be the local government services, but we really don't know. So I just want to clarify, we have gotten no directives, official directives at all from the state yet nor has the money been deposited in any borough account. So I will keep you posted. I certainly will distribute anything that I get that is official. But other than that, that's just kind of where we are on the rescue plan. I don't know if anybody had any questions on that.
Everybody understands that's the $600,000 the borough received, and we're awaiting further instruction about what we're allowed to do or not do with it.
Correct.
All right, well, thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
Mr. Solicitor?
Thanks. I don't have anything to report tonight.
But you're going to be talking to us in the executive
Yep.
session. Very good. Okay. Then what I would like to do is get a motion to adjourn out of this regular session of council into an executive session to discuss the things I announced earlier, and also wanted to let people know we will not be coming back into the regular session of the meeting tonight. This concludes that. So thank you for those who joined us, and we'll see you in May.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, then this meeting, this part of it is adjourned.